Hi, this is Will Friedle. I'm here with EMoney, and you are watching Back Issues.
Stay tuned. All right, thanks Will Friedle for that intro. As you can see, I had an exciting time at Chicago Fan Expo this past weekend, and I'm going to tell you all about it. But first of all, I'm EMoney. Here's the old man, and here's Thor, the Dog of Thunder. Hey, buddy. Hey, you have a fun weekend too? Yeah? All right, so I'm going to give you a recap of Chicago Fan Expo. Then we're going to talk a review of Thor, Love and Thunder that we saw this past Sunday. And then we're going to have our comic and reviews and previews. And then we're going to have a little fun with Thor out here in a little while. All right, so pretty jam-packed show today. What do you think, Thor? You excited? It's like all about you this week, right? All right, this ends now. Well, actually, this is just starting.
So wait a minute, we just got rolling.
Yeah, this is Back Issues. All right, all you comic lovers, before we get started today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, give us a thumbs up, and if you like, leave us a comment. All right, so this past Saturday, I took a little trip up to Chicago for Chicago Fan Expo. Had myself a pretty nice time. I met a lot of cool people. The main goal of what I went for this Saturday was for the Hobbits. The Hobbitses. Yeah. So I had myself a pretty impressive Lord of the Rings trilogy poster, and I've had a couple people.
You gonna show them the poster?
Yeah, I'll show you guys a poster right here. And I've had a couple of people sign it over the years. People who were there this weekend that had not signed it yet were Elijah Wood, Frodo Baggins himself, and Dominic Monaghan, Mary. And got them both to sign it. They were really cool guys. Also, Billy Boyd and Sean Astin were there as well, but they had already signed it for me.
I was there when you got Samwise to sign it.
Yep. So now I have 5 out of 9 fellowship members have signed my poster, in addition to a few other people from Lord of the Rings. So then I went on to Mr. Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed himself. I met him, and he was really cool, and I told him thank you for all the years of entertainment and all the years to come.
Out there in them trees.
Mm-hmm. Well, we talked briefly, but it was mostly about the Mandalorian.
Didn't talk about no Predator?
No, I didn't have time to talk about Predator.
Predator would be probably my top 3 of his movies.
Yeah. Then this was kind of on a whim. I went over and talked to Will Friedle, who most people might know as Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World, but also played the voice of Batman, Terry McGinnis, in Batman Beyond, and Ron Stoppable in Kim Possible. So, he's had a, pretty popular fan base, but, I went in and talked to him almost right away. And he saw my, Dungeons & Dragons, Lord of the Rings mashup shirt, and he's like, awesome, man. And we started talking about Dungeons & Dragons and miniatures and things like that, and he says, have you seen some of my YouTube videos? And I'm like, actually, we have. My dad and I, we're pretty big D&D people, and he's running a campaign right now, and he watches videos on YouTube sometimes about miniatures, and he clicks on one of his recommended videos one day, and he starts watching, and he's like, wait a minute, the guy from Boy Meets World? So, Will and I had a pretty big laugh about that, and then we talked about one of the most meta episodes of Kim Possible I'd ever seen, because there's an episode of Kim Possible where Ron discovers what he thinks is a former superhero's hideout, and he becomes a masked crime fighter like Batman Beyond. So that in itself is pretty meta, but the guy playing the old guy in the episode, voiced by Adam West. So, I was layers on layers of meta there, and, he thought it was, pretty cool how I appreciated that. And there's also an episode of Boy Meets World where Eric Matthews says, I'm Batman, which later turned out to be true. So, we had a lot of fun talking about a couple different things. Then, at Chicago, the rest of the time I spent in line waiting for Kevin Smith. And no offense to Kevin Smith, but it was a really disorganized mess.
That's
Chicago.
not Kevin's fault.
No, I mean Chicago Fan Expo, formerly known as Wizard World Chicago or Wizard World in general. I mean they've been doing this for a while now. You would think they have a pretty good handle on these things, but it was a mess. It was like people waiting in line. If you didn't have the green ticket, which was a dual ticket for both Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, if you didn't have a green ticket, then you had to pound sand and get the hell out because they're only taking green ticket people at the time. And I had a red ticket because I already had Jason Mewes. And basically it was just a mob of people who weren't actually in line, just kind of gathered around the area. I won't go into all the details, but
Thank you.
But it was hours I was waiting around. And an hour after the show closed, I finally got in and talked to Kevin Smith for a little bit and got his autograph. So yeah, so that part not so fun, but overall I had a pretty nice time at Chicago Fan Expo. Hope to get a handle on it next time I go to one of their shows.
Or just don't go see the big star.
Yeah, I didn't think Kevin would be the big star. I mean, I was thinking like, maybe, the Hobbits, Carl Weathers, one of those guys would be the big guy. But Kevin had just released the trailer for Clerks 3. So naturally a lot of people were anxious to see him in addition to people already wanting to see him. All right, so there's my recap of Chicago Fan Expo, and had a great time up there. Next convention, I think, is in Indiana. Maybe I'm gonna have to check my schedule.
What
But September.
Damn.
But we're gonna have to. I'll check my schedule for that. All right, so there's my recap. Now, let's get into what many of you probably clicked on for our review of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, no, you don't want to listen to this because we're going to spoil everything.
All right, here it is. All right, so this past Sunday, the old man and I went to our local theater for Thor: Love and Thunder, the newest film from Marvel Studios.
A movie that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I've been dodging trailers, been dodging commercials.
Yep.
Didn't know. Well, I guess I knew a few things, but I mean, I knew Jane Foster was in it. I knew that Christian Bale played Gore, that he was the villain. I mean, to be honest, that's the most important stuff, and I knew it.
Yeah.
So,
And directed by Taika Waititi, who also directed Thor: Ragnarok.
What are you doing?
Now, you all right, buddy? All right. So in Thor: Ragnarok, I thought Taika did an almost perfect job of blending action, drama, and comedy into the film.
I mean, I am not a big comic relief person. Like in the first Star Wars, Episode 4, the droids were plenty of comic relief. We didn't know to go to Episode 1 and pick up Jar Jar Binks. We did not need that. It ruined the movie. A lot of you probably agree with that. But I like a little bit of comic relief.
Yeah.
In the Thor movies, Thor himself is the comic relief.
Pretty much.
He's a little bit of a goofball. So,
especially when Taika's directing.
So that's all I need. But man, this movie, they just laid it on us.
All right, so first of all, the dialogue, especially in the opening scenes, I mean, it just felt really disingenuous. Like in the opening scenes with the Guardians, I mean, it felt like they were acting out a play instead of acting out a movie, is what it felt like to me. Did anybody else pick up on that? Let me know.
I did not.
Okay. Next problem I had was throughout the whole movie, they're treating Stormbreaker and Mjolnir like they're pets or girlfriends instead of weapons.
I mean, since when did they become sentient?
Yeah. And he's like, hey, buddy, do you want to swig a beer? You want to swig a beer? Do you like it when I do this to you under the hammer?
I hated that.
Yeah. I that stupid. I'm sorry. So, next point, Russell Crowe's portrayal of Zeus was just horrible.
If you're gonna hire a quality actor like Russell Crowe to play a part, give him a part to play and not a buffoon.
I mean, how did Russell Crowe take this part without, I mean, I would think he'd have enough sense to see the red flags. I mean, him reading the script that Taka gave him, and he's like, wait a minute. It says here, Zeus picks up his skirt and prances down the steps. Did I read that right, Taka? No. We're not doing that. No.
I'm going to assume that that's not in the script, that the director said, now do this.
I mean, I hope that Russell didn't take that upon himself to do, because I'd be a little disappointed if he did. And many fans agree that Zeus was messed up in the movie. I mean, yes, in most Greek stories, Zeus is an ass, all right?
An ass, but not a buffoon. He's not a clown.
Right. And, they didn't have to be portrayed quite like that. I mean, he could have been, mighty and commanding Liam Neeson type guy and still been an ass, right?
Yeah, there's a difference between ass and clown.
Yeah.
Ass, clown? Yeah, there is a difference between the two things.
Mm-hmm. So, most people agree they did not like Zeus. And one guy commented on something I posted on Facebook, and he was like, Russell, your dad bod is showing through your armor. Either, stop trying to cover it up or, lose the six-pack armor on there. All right, so next point. Positive thing, Christian Bale's gore may have been the best part of the movie.
But there wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, if you didn't like this movie, I challenge you to pick up the 25-issue run of Thor: God of Thunder. That is a great story.
Great stuff.
Story. Probably the best Thor story arc I've ever read.
Mm-hmm.
And Gore, who was played by Christian Bale, is intense, dark, evil, foreboding, powerful. I never got that sense of him. And I mean, yeah, he was bad.
I mean, I thought he was pretty scary in the scenes with the kids.
Yeah, but he's just scaring kids. I never got that all-powerful. I mean, this guy is a god killer, and we saw him kill one god.
Yeah.
We know that he killed a few more.
Yeah, they talked about it.
But I got the feeling that they were lesser gods, that they weren't that big a deal.
Mm-hmm. Was not what happened in the comic books.
No. He went after the big boys in the comic books.
Exactly. All right, so there's that. And I mean, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I never liked Korg because it was voiced by Taika Waititi. No offense to him. Well, before this movie, I would have said no offense to him as a director, but now I'm not so sure. But I never liked him doing the voice of Korg because I mean, Korg should have this big rough Ben Grimm type voice.
He's made of rocks.
Right. And then he starts talking and he's like, hey man, we're about to steal this ginormous spaceship. Want to come? I'm like, what the hell is that?
It's terrible.
Never liked that. So, in the scene with the pantheon of gods gathered, like, okay, they gave Korg a decent death scene. All right, I'll respect that. But then he turns out to be a talking face for the rest of the movie.
And grows back.
Yeah. And, he was like 3PO on Chewie's back for the rest of the movie. I hated it. It was like I hate all parts of Korg in this movie pretty much.
I didn't like him in any movie.
Right. And then finally, towards the end of the movie, in the big conclusion, giving the kids Thor powers at the end of it. Like, you ever see Undertaker when he gets into the ring and he takes off his hat for the first time? Like, those were my eyes in that scene. Just completely stupid. I've said stupid a lot in this review, haven't I?
Yeah.
Stupid. Then, I don't know, giving Thor a daughter at the end of the movie. I'm not sure how to feel about that right now. I wasn't crazy about it by the end, but we'll see what they do with it, I guess.
I didn't like it.
Overall, a lot of stupid in this movie. A lot of stupid. Didn't like it. Okay, so what is our final score for Thor: Love and Thunder?
The lowest I've given any MCU movie. There's been one or two other ones that have scored this low. I only gave it 2 out of 4.
2
stars.
Popcorns. 2 popcorns out of 4, which is really sad for a Marvel movie.
Usually Marvel movies average 3 popcorns and a lot of them have done better. I mean, 2 different Marvel movies have gotten 4 popcorns, which is extremely rare for us. I mean, maybe one a year. There's been several years where there were no 4 popcorn movies.
But yeah, it's
Not this one.
you know, big disappointment. So Thor: Love and Thunder, 2 popcorns out of 4. All right. So enough about that. You know, sorry your movie didn't pan out, buddy.
You saw it.
Yeah, sorry. All right, so let's head into the basement and talk comic books now.
And the air conditioning.
Yeah. Not for you, though. All right, comic lovers. So if you've never seen us do this before, we grade these comics on a 5-shield rating system. We grade them each with 2 scores, one for writing and story, and then the other one for artwork. Then we combine them together to give it an average overall score. So first up, our mentions for this week. You know, something we found interesting, but somehow didn't end up in our top 3. Or something, you know, we wanted to hate on sometimes, but I don't think...
It's always something EMoney wants to talk about. I mean, you know...
Whether it's good or bad, but I think it's mostly good this week, so... Yeah. All right.
Ready?
Yep.
The number 1 thing you wanted to talk about was a DC Maxi series. It's a 12-issue series. This is number 7 of... And they've been doing one-shot spin-offs of this, too. But this is DC versus Vampires, number 7.
All right, so this is, like you said, number 7 in the series. So the vampires have mostly taken over at this point. You know, they got Superman, so you know all hope is lost now.
They got Wonder Woman, they got Superman, they got Green Lantern. All the big guns are gone.
Yeah, and you know, there's
they
only
killed the Flash because they couldn't control him.
Right. So you know, there's just a few small pockets of resistance at this point. And I think they take a few pages from The Strain, if you ever read that series or saw the TV show.
And if you hadn't, I recommend both.
So, you know, in that story, you know, they also took over, and it was basically just kind of, you know, keeping your head down at that point if you were still alive.
We were cattle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Toward the end of The Strain, the last book, the last chapter, we were cattle.
All right, so anyways. So in this story, we see a fight break out where a few, you know, surviving superheroes and villains and other people are working a mission where they're trying to smuggle something out of an area, and they get attacked. One of these surviving members is Raven from the Teen Titans, and you know, I don't know. It's like if you're a magic user and you get into a fight, like in whatever, you know, universe you're in, it's like, wouldn't like the first thing you do is spell a protection?
Well, I don't know if in this universe they have Avoid Deadly Blow, which is a spell in my role-playing group. But any of my magic users in my role-playing group, yeah, they take a few seconds to set up to get ready to put up defensive spells.
I mean, you play World of Warcraft or
Same
whatever.
thing.
Yeah.
The magic users use their abilities to benefit the group. They don't just wait into battle and they go, oh, I think I better do... No, they know what they can do and they get ready for it.
I mean, you want to avoid anyone, you know, sneaking up on you or, you know, getting a lucky shot in. Well, Raven does not subscribe to that philosophy.
No,
And
I don't, like I said, I don't know which spell she has available to her. So.
yeah. All right, so there's that, and towards the end of the story, you see that the last surviving members of the superhero community have banded together, and you know, they're trying to formulate a plan. Now, apparently, this is, you know, like I said, a lot like The Strain, in which if you kill the master, then all the other vampires die, right? So even if they do manage to, you know, get that done and kill the master, then, you know, I don't know, you know, how much of their world they're going to be able to save because, you know, most of their superheroes are going to be dead by then.
Not just that, most of the people are dead.
Yeah. And The Strain, you know, they did that, and it was like...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler. 1, 2, 3. In The Strain, the last scene, it's like flash forward like 5 years later after they kill the master. I think they needed a nuke to do it. They kill the master, and you can see like a skyline of Manhattan where they're starting to rebuild the bridges and stuff. So in that story, I guess you got kind of a happy ending, I guess. So, see how this works out for them.
You're right. You
All
come
right.
on back now.
So, yeah. So, DC versus Vampires, 7 out of 12, and ends up with...
After we rounded it up, it got 3.5 shields.
3.5. And this is one of those... 3.5?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one of those where, we told you guys that it would probably get a much higher grade if the artwork were just a little better.
We both gave it 3 for artwork.
Yeah. All right, so next up.
All right, next up. What If Miles Morales, number 5. Now, I was excited to read this because after issue number 4, the author felt the need to apologize for ethnic blunders. I don't know what you would call it.
I mean, good a name as any.
I mean, he caught a lot of heat from the community that the way he wrote Miles Morales was, I don't know, racist.
Yeah.
Because he
racially insensitive.
He used things like when the Thor Miles Morales would swear an oath, he'd be like.
Usually it's Odin's beard.
He would do by Odin's fate.
Yeah.
The hammer's got graffiti all over it. I mean, I have to admit, when I've read issue 4 myself, I guess I'm too white. I'm sorry. But I didn't really pick up on any of that. I just didn't pay attention to it. But after I read that this guy apologized, and I read his apology, and I went back and looked at it, and I cringed on every point that he brought up. It's like, oh, yeah, you did do that. So I thought maybe this time it'd be different, but no. I think it was too late.
Yeah.
And he'd already written this one, and he continues with the same stuff when it comes to Thor.
So, quick question. All those, black exploitation films in the 90s or in the 70s that were written, and I know it was a different time, but still, were white people writing those, or were those done by black writers? I mean,
I'm sure it was heavily written by white guys.
Okay.
But,
just curious.
Yeah, that's why they are black exploitation.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a different time, but man. All right, at any rate, What If number 5?
All right, so we start off in our own universe, our universe with Miles Morales SpiderMan. I think it's Earth 616, if I
don't know. I
remember
get
correctly.
DC's different universes and Marvel's different universes. I hate the multiverse.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. Anyways, so he's going about his normal day, and a portal opens up, and a bunch of Uncle Aarons step out. And
Uncle Aaron is the Prowler, who is in other universes, and he's evil in the other ones.
Right. So you've got Sabretooth Uncle Aaron, you got Loki Uncle Aaron, Super Soldier Uncle Aaron, I think, maybe. So, Miles is outnumbered, and he's thinking about, getting some space, maybe calling in Peter, stuff like that. And then another portal opens up, and here comes the other Mileses. You've got Miles, Captain America, Wolverine, Thor, and Hulk. And they step up to take out Uncle Aaron. And turns out the Aaronses have a couple aces up their sleeve. A Blue Marvel Uncle Aaron. So
Nobody knows who Blue Marvel is.
I assume that it's related to Captain Marvel on the same power level.
I've not read the comic book. There was only a couple issues. I know that the first issue goes for pretty decent money.
So this turns out to be a pretty much all action issue in this one.
Yep, it's a slobber knocker.
Yep. And have the Mileses working together to stop the evil Aarons. So like the old man said, they still use the Thor exploitation phrases in this.
Whatever you want to call it, it's still there.
Yeah, so might want to check it out just for that reason. All right, so What If Miles Morales number 5? I believe this is the conclusion to the What If Miles Morales.
I think you are correct, sir.
And it ends up at
3 shields.
3 shields out of 5.
Right.
All right. So next up, in honor of Thor: Love and Thunder coming out, we thought we'd review this one for you.
Jane Foster, The Mighty Thor, number 2.
All right. So, in the comic books, I'm not really sure how Jane's power levels work because it's like she's been a Valkyrie, she's been Thor. So it's like, is her power level the same all the time, or is this like, she's like, Valkyrie power level, and then she like
when she's Thor, she gains the power of Thor.
Okay, but it's not on all the time, right? Okay, so Jane Foster, Mighty Thor here. In this issue, OG Thor is missing, and Jane is setting out to look for him, while at the same time, Asgard is under attack because, Thor's gone, and, enemies think that it's open season.
It's a good time to take advantage of it.
Yep. So it's up to the other heroes of Asgard to fight off the attack. Meanwhile, Jane finds herself in New Orleans looking for Thor, and she is met by Dr. Voodoo,
who's in charge of the Strange Academy.
Yeah. So story goes from there, and by the end, Jane finds herself facing down, the Enchantress. She's on the trail of the Enchantress because she's somehow tied up in all this. And she uses the attack on Asgard to sneak in and carry out her own nefarious means, whatever that may be. We still don't know yet.
That sneaky wench.
Yep. So a lot of stuff happening here. And we'll see. Hopefully we'll find Thor in the next issue. Jane Foster, the Mighty Thor #2, ends up with
3 shields.
So, you guys have seen our review, so, I don't need to say spoilers for you. So, in the final scene with Jane Foster in Valhalla, is there a chance that she's going to become a Valkyrie? Because, I don't know, are Valkyries, like, were they previously dead and they were brought back to become Valkyries?
My knowledge of the mythos of the Valkyries is somewhat limited, I must confess.
Okay. So if you know, let us know in the comments. All right. So there is our mentions for this week. Now on to our top 3.
All right. There was a tie.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise, surprise. And since you guys haven't actually helped us on some sort of contest to break the ties, because we're starting to feel like we've done everything, we had some watermelon in the fridge, and I remembered as a kid, we used to see how far we could spit a watermelon seed. So, me and EMoney went out in the backyard and had a watermelon seed spitting contest. I think EMoney was a little embarrassed by the whole thing. He thought it was beneath him. I've been spitting watermelon seeds for a long time, and I let one fire over the back fence. And EMoney's like, oh crap. Knew he'd been beat. Knew he'd been beat at that point. So, if you don't like, let's see, what was it? Time for the top 2 spots? Yeah. If you don't like the order that the top 2 are presented to you today,
Tough.
yeah, pretty much, I don't care.
Okay.
Live with it.
All right. So.
You ready? All right. Number 3 was The Amazing Spider-Man #5. Now, I've always found it entertaining that John Romita drew a big run on Spider-Man back in the day, on Amazing Spider-Man.
Second guy to do it.
Yeah, after Ditko. So I enjoy the fact that Romita Jr., JR, is doing Amazing Spider-Man now.
All right. So in the previous issue, Tombstone had Spider-Man held as a hostage, and he was, said he was planning on killing him while Spider-Man escaped, and he goes on a rampage through what he thinks is Tombstone's headquarters, and he goes, smashing through walls and
beating up henchmen
and thugs. Excuse me. So it turns out that he wasn't holding him in Tombstone's hideout. He was holding him in his competition, the Rose's hideout.
Sneaky, that Tombstone.
So he tricked Spider-Man into taking out his competition. Well, Spider-Man, doesn't take too kindly to that.
As he shouldn't.
So you can see he's all beat up. I mean, he's got like these, big lumps on his face after the beatdown he got from Tombstone. So beginning of the issue, Felicia comes in from the rooftop he's sitting on and offers him some words of encouragement.
Which basically are, suck it up.
Yeah. So then he pays a visit to Tombstone in his house, and Tombstone, he's one of those guys who's masquerading as a legitimate businessman type. So he comes into his house and he's like, "You just don't know when you're beat, do you?" And Spider-Man's like, No, I know you beat me. It's all good." And he's like, "I thought maybe we should go public with our little arrangement. Let everyone know that I only work on your orders, and I only go after who you tell me to. Unless, of course, you think people would get upset about that if they knew." So Tombstone getting what he's on about, he's like, "What do you want?" So Spider-Man also accepts, and I appreciate Romita's artwork in this panel here because you can still see the lumps through Spider-Man's mask from the beatdown that he got. So, still healing. So, he says, I know that taking you out would create a power vacuum in the organized crime, and that would just lead to more violence. So, I guess what I'm telling you to do, Tombstone, is play nice out there.
Don't kill anybody, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then for to make his point, he turned one of the I guess you would call him higher up henchmen on one of Tombstone's hideouts, and Tombstone, he gets the phone call as they're talking, and he's like, "I think I made my point. So you be nice out there, Tombstone." So pretty interesting issue here because it shows Peter's smarts, and that sometimes you don't have to web someone up and punch them in order to solve the problem.
Yeah, it was probably a lot more fun.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so Amazing Spider-Man number 5, John Romita Jr. doing artwork on this one, ends up with our number 3 spot at
3.5 shield.
3.5 rounded up.
No.
No,
rounding.
3. No rounding. Sorry, 3.5 solid.
If it had been rounded up, it would have been a tie for 3rd place.
Right. All right. So next up.
All right, another DC miniseries or series. This is Dark Crisis number 2 out of 7.
All right. So this follows the Dark Crisis story where it looks like the Justice League, the main members, have been killed, and the villains of Earth think that it's open season on superheroes now because they don't have the big guns to protect them anymore. So a siege on Titan's Tower happens, and Slade Wilson is at the lead here. So they come to the main hall, and Slade Wilson challenges Nightwing, an injured Nightwing, to a one-on-one competition for the lives of his teammates. And Slade may have bitten off a little more than he can chew, because a injured Nightwing is still a dangerous Nightwing. So that happens, and it turns out that Slade also has a little ace up his sleeve.
Cheating bastard.
Yeah. Well, as soon as Jonathan Kent, Superman, shows up, Clark's son, shows up, Slade reveals his ace, and it's the return of Cyborg Superman.
Yeah, I thought that guy was gone.
Yep. Haven't seen him in a while. And Cyborg Superman is a handful for his dad. So, I wasn't sure how well Jonathan would measure up here. Because Jonathan, for all his ability, he's still half human, right?
Also, he's young.
Yeah. So, he still is not at the power level that his father's at. And, we see them throw down. And then, by the end, we see Black Adam come back and realize, he's got to, organize the heroes, which is what they've been telling him the whole time. So, Dark Crisis number 2 out of 7 in this limited event series ends up with...
After we rounded it up, 4 shields.
4 shields out of 5. All right, and then finally, number 1.
All right, so the Daredevil run that was written by Chip Zdarsky is possibly second only to the Frank Miller run, in my opinion. Good stuff. I'm getting ready to read Stillwater, which was written by Zdarsky. I haven't read it yet, but I'm getting ready to. So I'm pretty high on this guy. He's taken over the writing chore on Batman now. Well, I read it. I'm not sure where he's going with it. It could be very interesting. It might. I don't know. But it's a wait and see for me. But Batman number 125.
All right, so in this story, and last I checked, I mean, I thought that Batman and Catwoman were married, but in this issue, it turns out that's not the case. So I don't know if they're separated or divorced.
They're definitely separated.
Or what. Or if this is like another storyline where, you know, they're not together, they were never together in the first place.
I got the impression they had been together.
Okay. All right, so it opens up. There's a hostage situation going on at one of the buildings in Gotham, and you know the hostage taker is yelling at the cops, you know, get the hell away from me! I'll kill him! I swear to God! And then you know, off to his left, you know, from the shadows, Batman's like, not God, not even close. And you know, all these years later, Batman can still strike fear into the hearts of Gotham, and you know, they're them screaming, you know, panic things like, "Don't kill me! Don't kill me!"
No doubt, Bats knows how to make an entrance.
All right. So later on, Penguin has sent a message out to the people of Gotham, and he says that you know the days of the elite living off of Gotham's back is gone now, and he says that he's going to kill anyone in Gotham who has inherited over $5 million, unless they give it away to the people of Gotham City.
Well, here's the case of I'm not sure what Zdarsky's doing. That doesn't sound like any version of the Penguin I've ever read. That's not his M.O. So I'm not sure where he's going.
All right, so he's in he's not the cave because, you know, unless you recall that, you know, Batman or Bruce Wayne lost all of his money. And he's not in the cave, he's in some kind of hideout. And Tim comes to see him, and, you know, he says that there's a gala happening at Gotham. There's always a gala or a ball at Gotham happening somewhere. And
you get the impression it's a nightly event.
Yeah. So Bruce Wayne, despite having lost all of his money, he still his name still carries some clout, and gets invited to all the big events. Now he says he's lost his money, but it's like, you know, he can still afford the tuxedos and the town cars and
I mean, when a guy like rich old Bruce Wayne loses his money, what he considers being a pauper is a much better lifestyle than you or me will ever have. Let's face it.
I mean, in one story, I mean, he still had a, you know, fairly swanky apartment in downtown Gotham. So, all right, so there's that. So he's gonna go in as Bruce Wayne while Tim does surveillance as Robin. And you know, Penguin not being able to help himself, he comes in, you know, saying he's gonna kill everybody with gas. And you know, it seems that he's made his move, the Penguin, but as Batman figures out, things are not all as they seem. So a few surprises in store for Batman, and then also something terrible happens during the fighting. And we're kind of left there wondering what happens. And for you speculators out there, Batman 125, it might include a pretty significant death. I mean, you know how these things go. It looks like somebody died, but then it turns out they didn't, or, you know, they come back after a while. So I don't know if it's going to stick, but it looks like, you know, pretty big death in this one. So you might want to go get Batman 125 if you haven't already. All right, so Batman 125 by Zdarsky ends up, and, you know, I really like the artwork in this one. The old man didn't give it as high of a score as I did.
If you're going to put a guy like Zdarsky on a book, you need to give him a Jim Lee. You need to give him some top dog.
I don't know about Jim Lee, but I thought he was pretty damn good. Anyways, Batman 125, our number one pick for this week, ends up with...
Also got 4 shields after it was rounded up.
4 shields rounded up. All right, so there's our top 3 for this week. Now, on to what you can... No, on to this week's comic preview. Yeah.
Don't you skip my stuff. All right, so this was kind of a strange week. We only got one DC book, but I was at Comic Book World when they got their Marvel shipment. It's huge. Well, a couple of big books, and a couple I'm looking forward to. One is Daredevil #1.
Okay.
I meant to see who's writing it.
Daredevil #1 again, huh?
You know, I'd love it to be the chipster. I don't know. I didn't look. Stupid me.
He stays busy, doesn't he?
He's good. Punisher #4 comes out. But another big book, you ready? You're going to like it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I hope you like it. I think you're going to be excited. Star Wars, The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
So that could be exciting.
I think this is the first comic appearance of the Mandalorian.
You're the Star Wars geek.
I think
I'm along for the ride.
I think that's what they've been boasting in the advertisement. So
Could be. But that being said, there's a little independent book that's coming out that I know you and I are both excited about because it's been great. 8 Billion Genies, #3.
out already.
Yep.
Okay.
That seems quick, but I hope they keep rolling. The bad news is I think it's a 8-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
Well, if they sell enough of them, trust me, they'll come up with another miniseries.
All right. So have all that to look forward to. Get them at your local comic book shop right now. All right. So that does it for our previews. Now, give you another preview of what you can expect at this week's pop-up comic shop. All right, so our pop-up comic shop is this Saturday. It's July the 16th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we're going to have all kinds of cool stuff for you guys. We're going to have comic books starting at $1 and going up from there. All kinds of exciting key issues for you guys. And then we're going to have toys, action figures, and we're going to have board games, and we're going to have DVDs and Blu-rays.
Now,
So
some of y'all still have not made an appearance at the pop-up shop this season. Shame on you. Get your butts up and out.
Yep. All right, so here's a small preview of what you can expect at this week's pop-up shop. Like I said, we have dozens, possibly hundreds of keys for you guys, and
Dozens.
And all kinds of other stuff for you guys. All right, so here's a small preview. All right, so this one, a more recent key issue, also by Zdarsky. Speaking of Daredevil #25, it's a first print. Cover A, and this is the first appearance of Elektra as Daredevil. So, something for you guys to have there.
If you remember, we weren't getting Daredevil at that time. And found out that there was some big key issue. Went running into the shop, they sold out.
Yep.
Now, I've bought a collection, which is where that came from, which also enabled me to read the full run. Good stuff.
All right, so this one, I talked about it before, but since Thor Love and Thunder just came out, I thought I would bring it up again. This is a classic late Silver Age issue, Avengers #83, first appearance of Valkyrie, right there. So, important issue to have.
Who was on the Avengers team back then? Oh, yeah, that was the good stuff then.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then finally, we got this one in just this past week. Another Silver Age issue, Amazing Spider-Man #78. This is the first appearance of the Prowler.
Which, since that's Miles Morales' uncle in the Miles Morales story, kind of a tie-in there.
And I remember noting that, being a Silver Age issue, it's in, pretty great shape here. Not perfect, but still pretty damn good. And that's a Ramita Senior issue right there. All right, so those are previews for this week's comic books. Now on to some toy previews. So you may know that we've collected a pretty decent collection of movie action figures, most of them from McFarlane Toys, a few other things here and there. So we have a few additions. Most of them have been horror movie stuff, but now we have some new non-horror things. These two, comedies. So first up, we've got Little Nicky from the Adam Sandler movie. So there you have Nicky and also Mr. Beefy with them. And it looks like it makes for a pretty nice display here. He's lounging
Taking a
on
nap
the
radiator.
radiator there because, he's so freaking cold because he's used to the fires of hell. So, he needs to warm himself up there.
I've not seen that movie.
Really? It's not my favorite early Adam Sandler movie, but, it's all right.
Was it early?
Fairly early, I would say, within the first, 5 years of him getting big.
Huh.
I guess Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison were like his first breakout hits. So I would say within that time.
Okay.
All right, next up, we have a figure from Austin Powers.
I've seen all of those.
Yeah. And this is Fat Bastard. But you wouldn't know to look at the action figure because for some reason, I guess they couldn't put Bastard on an action figure or something.
I also noticed there's no little baby accessory.
Yeah. So.
Or it should be mini-me.
Right.
Hey, baby, gets in my belly.
So here it says Fat Man. So anyone who's ever seen the movies, thinks, hey, I got the new Fat Man action figure.
No, you didn't. You got the Fat Bastard. You
Yeah.
just didn't have the balls to call it that.
Mm-hmm. So the voice chip in him, it says, sorry, I farted. So, cool addition to your Austin Powers collection if you have one. Then, so we have our movie action figures, but also we've started to get a fairly decent collection of video game action figures. We sold off our Resident Evil 2 collection a few weeks ago, but we have a few others. We have a decent collection of Metal Gear Solid action figures, and we have Marvel vs. Capcom. This one, we don't have any additional figures from this line, but, we got the important one here.
Well, also, we don't know what we're going to get this week. We get new toys
every week. So never know what we're going to get. But we got the important one here. We've got Duke Nukem. And if you're a 90s kid like me, you might have spent hours on your MS-DOS computer playing Duke Nukem as a kid. So, it makes for a pretty cool display for your computer table or whatever. And, has one of his quotes here, come get some.
Oh, that's a weak quote. I liked, it's time to kick ass and chew gum. And I'm all out of gum.
Well, he stole that from Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Don't care. Still good.
All right, so we got Duke Nukem and a lot of other video game and movie stuff and other stuff. Action figures from comic books and animated shows and all kinds of cool stuff. So come check that out. All right, so that does it for our preview for this week. And remember, July 16th, this Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., 7002 Brookbend Way. All right, now let's head back up into the garage with Thor. All right, back out here in the garage with Thor. So, we've given Thor a couple challenges, doing tricks and also seeing how he reacts to certain things. Well, I'm doing a new reaction this week. We're going to see what Thor's protective instincts are. Or does he just see through it and know that I'm full of crap? We'll see.
What do you mean?
All right, this is our doggy challenge video of the week. Damn it, old man, I told you not to interrupt me when I'm talking. I told you. What did I say? What did I say? I said. What did I say?
Ow. Get him, Thor. Get him.
So yours is a flight. Oh, there we go.
So your instinct was to flee.
Yeah, I think the instinct was flee and then realize, oh, we're playing here.
I think his instinct was, I'm going to get out of the way so EMoney can kick the old man's ass. I have the snacks, fool. When we do these videos, the old man always has the snacks. You're supposed to protect me. Actually, I'm surprised he didn't join in and start biting me.
Okay, so there was our doggy challenge video of the week.
You suck.
I like to think he knew that I was kidding and just stepped out of the way, but...
I just think he sucks.
All right, so that was our episode. So don't forget, our pop-up comic book shop this Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Comic books, toys, DVDs, all kinds of fun stuff for you guys. Hope you can join us. 7002 Brookbend Way, Louisville, Kentucky. All right, so, and we're going to have more Thor next week, more comic reviews and entertainment news. All right, we'll see you guys. Oh, and don't forget our season finale reaction video to Miss Marvel later on today. Be sure to stay tuned for that. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. Excelsior.
True believers, I'm real disappointed in you guys on your number of comments that you make after each one of these videos. So, come on, give us some.